So I feel like we all know that FNAF Pops have been in a pretty rough predicament these past few years, you know? So they made their big comeback with the tie-dye wave, which was obviously not a very big comeback for them. Then we got our next wave of FNAF Pops, and they were of characters that might not even exist. And then after those two waves, which were weird and confusing, then we got another weird and confusing wave with a bunch of holiday variants of the same FNAF 1 Pops we already had, so that wasn't too exciting. Then they released a bunch of recolors, and nobody really cared about any of it. And Funko must have realized that they were slacking big time, because when they were making their Five Nights at Freddy's Ruin wave, they seemed to have increased their budget by a pretty substantial amount.
Slinky and Turtle have a very important message for you guys, that there is going to be brand new merchandise.
We all know at this point that FNAF Ruin had some of the best merch that this series has ever had, and the action figures spoke volumes to that. Sadly, this is probably the last wave we're ever going to get of Funko action figures, but even though the license is changing, that doesn't make the Pops off limits. Funko makes Pops for everything. And for our first glimpse into the future of FNAF Pops, for what we're going to be getting after Funko no longer makes the other merch, this is a very, very promising set. So I'm going to be reviewing these first, but as everybody knows, there's also the 10th anniversary Pops. These are the first Pops we've had since Funko has not had the action figure license anymore, and these are very, very promising, but we're not going to talk about those yet. For now, let's start off with the Ruin Pops, which I actually skipped reviewing before. And I'd say the perfect place to start would be with Ruined Chica, since her number comes first. So here we've got the Ruined Chica Pop. Very, very nice looking boxes. Pop boxes have never really changed much. I think the branding is pretty on point. Not really much to say. They had a little net pattern and it faced the purple like the normal Ruin branding. Not much here that's interesting. 2024 Scott Cawthon, Funko, all that. Now let's get this figure out of this box here and take a closer look at it. So she actually does come with a base. FNAF Pops, I don't think there's very many that come with bases. I know some of the sister location ones did, but I think that's pretty much it so far, because I can't really think of many that have come with bases. I don't know how they did it, but it's better than the action figure somehow. Like, way better. The paint on this thing is fantastic. You can see here, every crack is actually painted inside of. It looks fantastic. You even see like the moldy cheese smearing across her face on the side. It's disgusting looking. You can see all the metal is very glossy and reflective. You can see all the great sculpt work into the endoskeleton. The endoskeleton is also super accurate and good looking. You can see just all the detail and grime on the body and stuff. For how small this figure is, the paint is absolutely stellar. And my only complaint is that she has this weird lean, like she leans back way too far, which is why she has the base, but it doesn't really function to its full capacity. This figure is sculpted in such a way where it's always just leaning back a bit, which does fit the character. This is how she stands in game, but it is quite distracting and can make the figure fall over pretty easily, which I'd say is the biggest issue. I love these big, bright white eyes with the eyelashes sticking out. That looks great. I love the colors. Everything about this Pop basically looks perfect. This is so far above their standard for FNAF Pop, because I already liked their FNAF figures. I thought they already did a pretty good job on the Pop figures, but they've never been to this level of paint detail. Like, it's just insane to me how well painted this thing is, especially compared to the action figure, which is more expensive, but it's so much less detailed. And I thought this was a very, very serviceable amount of detail. I thought this was perfect. Like, I didn't think this needed any more detail, and it really doesn't. But they really went the extra mile with these Pop figures, and I appreciate it, but I'm also just kind of confused by it. I don't know if there's some new technology, because I doubt a person actually went in there to paint in all those cracks, but yeah, pretty cool here. Not something you'd see very often on Funko products. And now to go with Ruined Chica, we can obviously have the cool Ruined Roxy Pop, which also comes with a display base. That ruined my camera angle, oh my gosh. All right, let's put her on here. Let me push this over a bit. Okay, so she pegs in right there. Yeah. All right, there she is. This is another very good looking figure. I don't know if she looks as good as Chica, but she also doesn't really have as much detail to be had, so it makes sense that she's not as detailed. Face is very shiny, not necessarily metallic, but very glossy. It almost looks like wet. Very, very well sculpted endoskeleton, looks basically perfect. The hair is covered in like dirt detail and stuff. It looks great from the back. You can see all this detail in the endoskeleton on the body and everything. This is very, very great. This is definitely on par with the Chica one. This is one where I'm not really sure if it looks better than the action figure, but yeah, I don't know. I think the action figure is better just because I think the glossiness is a bit overboard. But yeah, action figure or not, it's still very, very good. They did a very good job on Ruined Roxy here. And yeah, I think these two look great together. I think it's just a shame that the Ruin Wave is so small, because imagine like a Mimic in this style or a Glamrock Bonnie. They would look fantastic. Now here we've got this next one, which is Eclipse. I didn't bother recording me opening him, but Eclipse here is what seems to be a lot of people's favorites out of this set. And I get it, you know, he looks very good. I'm still iffy on how they do the Sun and Moon pops, what like fat the side of his face is. Like, I get it. You can't really do the Funko Pop base with like a thin flat head like Sun and Moon have, but I don't know. It just looks very weird to me. But hat looks good, so much paint detail. It just looks amazing. Same thing as the other two. This looks better than the action figure by a long shot, because I thought that action figure was easily the worst of the wave. Just he looks very off, and I don't know. Something about his colors. I don't like the colors better on this one, considering they're the same, but I do just think the paint does this a lot more justice, and it's so glossy and shiny. I don't know. It looks very good. The circuit board on the back looks great. You can see here all the extra teeth in there and everything. It looks really, really good. And you can see like the little net there, which is painted gray inside. I wish it was painted black. I feel like that would have looked better, but yeah. This is a very, very good figure. The endoskeleton looks great. Very well painted. It's on par with the other ones. Probably my least favorite of the three, but probably just because of the character choice, because it really comes down to that, because I think all these figures are pretty equal quality. But yeah, this figure is pretty great. I like his pose too. He's like reaching out and he's leaning forward a bit. It's better than leaning backward like Chica. That's honestly just the only downside to this Chica figure. I hate her like leaning back pose. It's very janky. And actually, perfect timing. I forgot to include the Sun and Moon Pop in this video. I just remembered, but we're currently reviewing Eclipse, so why don't we look at that too? Because I think Sun and Moon here also very easily falls into this category here of new FNAF Pops being really, really good. This is a great looking one. The paint application is great. I love the fading on the arms and legs and stuff. The paint on the face looks great. The sculpt is great. Moon's hat looks good. My only real complaint with this figure is I wish they were two separate figures. This would be a lot better if Sun and Moon were two different figures. I think everybody agrees on that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they didn't do that, because they could have made more money off of the same sculpt. Like, literally just take the sculpt you already made, make two versions of the different characters, and then you could sell two pops and make twice as much money. It makes no sense why they didn't do that, but yeah, I don't know. Circuit board in the back is more detailed, but this whole back headpiece is tan, which looks bad. I'm sorry, that just does not look right. They did a much better job on Eclipse here, where it's gray, which is correct. Because if you're going to make the back of the head this fat is one thing, because it's not accurate, but if you're going to make it that big, at least make it an endoskeleton. Don't make it, like, tan. Looks weird. There's some really weird inconsistencies between these two. Like, Sun and Moon here, for example, At least mine, it didn't come with a base, which is really weird. It's not in the package or anything. It's missing from, there's not even like a slot for it in the plastic, so it's really peculiar because he even has like a hole for it. And he could use it because he doesn't stand up very well, as you've been seeing, but yeah, I don't know. Eclipse is just a big improvement. One thing I don't like, though, is the inconsistency with the hat size. Like, that's a tiny hat. Like, I don't know. I feel like that issue could have been easily avoided if they had just made 2 separate figures for Sun and Moon, because if they made Sun and Moon separate figures, the moon hat would have been this size because it would have been a moon figure. I don't know. Just kind of a little nitpick there, but for being a design of both of them combined, these are both kind of Eclipse. This is just kind of like a fixed Eclipse. I don't know. It works. I like these. This is definitely an improvement, though. Okay, I take back everything I just said. It fell on the floor while I was opening him. It was weird because I've opened him before and I could have sworn, like, hey, I swear this guy had a base. He does. It must have fell out of the package when I opened him or something because I just saw it on the floor next to me. So, all right, he does have a base. I take it back. I'm gonna say, though, Funko, please make more waves of Security Breach pops because this is a horrible lineup to be the only characters from the entire game that have pops. There's not even the main Glamrocks. There's not even a Glamrock Freddy pop. Like, there's a mini one from the card game. Oh, Roxy fell over, but you know what I mean? Like, it's so peculiar how they never made any pops for Security Breach, and I really hope they go back and make them because this is a pretty lackluster lineup for the entire game. All right, now we've got the moment of truth. We've got the Marionette pop for the 10th anniversary, and the Withered Golden Freddy. Very FNAF 2 heavy. Not sure why this anniversary was so FNAF 2 heavy, I noticed, but it sure was, and I'm not really complaining, because these are pretty good choices for pops, and it seems like we are getting a Withered wave. I know there was a leak for that. Sadly, no action figures like people have been begging for, but there are Withered pop figures coming, which is probably all Funko's allowed to do, so we can't really blame him for that. But I'm excited to see those because I really like how this Golden Freddy looks just from seeing him in the box. But let's take a look at this Marionette first. So here is the new Marionette pop. Now, I did technically review this already in a YouTube short very briefly, but YouTube shorts aren't real reviews. So yeah, this is my honest review of this. I don't know. This figure, I'm not the biggest fan of it, you know? I know a lot of people really love this figure. Honestly, I kind of like the old puppet better. I don't have the old puppet to compare, but I just like the look of it better. This one, my main complaint with it comes just from the paint application. It's not very good. You can see the eyes there. For some reason, the black doesn't fill up the entire inside of the mouth. The black doesn't fill up the entire inside of the eyes. And the tears don't actually meet the top of the eyes or the bottom of the mouth. So the tears are just kind of sitting in between weirdly. And it doesn't look right to me. Like, I feel like this should have the tear tracks very, like, defined coming out of the eyes and going into the mouth, like on the actual design. But they didn't do that for some reason. And I think that just kind of throws off the look of the figure for me. Like, it's so cheap looking with how they painted it. Which is a shame, because I think the sculpt is a big improvement over the original puppet sculpt. But the paint is just so lackluster that I have a hard time truly liking this figure. This is definitely the worst of the figures I've looked at in this video. It's just kind of bleh. I get why people like it, though, because it is a very accurate piece of puppet merch. It's just the tear track thing it's such an important part of this character design, and I think they really fumbled with it. It's also got this weird, like, cut there next to the lip part, which I know is technically accurate, but it's made up for usually by the tears still going on beneath it, but they just don't. So yeah, also there's a weird like smudge on one side of the mouth. I don't know. Paint on this thing is kind of cheap. Also, the white lines are very thick on the arms and stuff, and it looks kind of off. I don't know. I'm probably just nitpicking. This probably doesn't bother most people, but yeah, I don't know. Not the biggest fan of this figure, but I do get why people like it. It's pretty nice. Also, the stand here that's attached to it is very, very nice. I love when they do this. I have a lot of Sonic pops, and they do this a lot for the Sonic figures. It works very well. So now let's move on to Withered Golden Freddy, who had just released, literally just released. And he actually is the one that's meant to coincide with this Marionette Pop. However, he didn't release alongside him. He released like a month later, which was pretty weird, but let's get him open here because his paint looks pretty insane. All right, here he is. And okay, I like this figure a lot. This is probably one of my favorite pops they've released in a very long time. They clearly based this off of their original FNAF 1 Freddy sculpt, but it's so different that I think it can just make up for it. Like, they did change the teeth, they changed the gap length between them and everything, and also the upper teeth aren't inaccurate anymore. My biggest complaint with the sculpt, honestly, is the fact that he has freckles, which isn't really a sculpt thing, it's more of a paint thing, because they're not sculpted in at all. But yeah, I think the freckles are weird, because he doesn't have those, but yeah, I don't know. The eyes look great. They don't even look like pop eyes. Like, they ditched the pop eyes for both of these. It sounds like I'm saying pop eyes. I hate saying pop eyes, like pop eyes, Funko eyes. I'm just gonna call them Funko eyes. They ditched the Funko eyes for both of these, and I think it looks better on both of them. Any of these collectible companies, when they have their custom eye design, I think it usually looks better when they don't use it. And I don't know why companies don't avoid it more, because usually the figures will be more liked and sell better if they don't have the eye design. So I don't know. U2s and Funko do this a lot, but I'm usually not too bothered by it for either of them. But I will admit it does always look better without it. But yeah, you can see here all the dirt detail and stuff. It's so detailed, almost too detailed. Like, they put so much grime and dirt on this guy. It's kind of overbearing, but it does work. You know, this is a disgusting crumpled suit that sits in the back room. I wasn't a big fan of the wires from the product images, at least, but seeing it in person now, this looks very, very good. I like that. I like how the wires look. They look better in person. Detail is on point. He has no buttons on his stomach, which is a bit disappointing. They even got the wires on the feet, though, which is interesting. Didn't think they'd get that detail, but they got the wires on the feet from Golden Freddy or Withered Freddy. You can see the wires coming out of the arms. The microphone is sculpted differently to look like the one from FNAF 2. Just a lot of effort here that you wouldn't usually see from Funko. I will say, I don't like how he has, like, endoskeleton booty cheeks. That's kind of weird, but, you know, it's a good figure. I like this one a lot. So, final verdict for this quick little review. I don't know if this was quick at all, actually. I'll have to see the final runtime when I edit this together. But, yeah, I think that these are very, very good. I'm very happy with the ones they've been releasing lately, and I'm excited to see what they keep doing. I'm really hoping for... I don't know. I'm hoping the Withered Wave is good. Then I'm hoping for some glam rock pops would be great. Maybe go back and do some more characters from older games like they've been doing. There's a lot they could do, and I really hope they do actually go through with it. I think this puppet was a bit of a miss because there's so many characters they haven't done. I think it would have been better if they went out of their way to do another character that hasn't been done before. So look, is that a cobweb? What is that? Why is there stuff? There's like a hair stuck to Freddy's ear. That's like white hair. That's not mine. Where did that come from? Anyway, I like these figures a lot. I'm hoping they keep going back and making older characters. The Withereds are a good sign. I'm happy to see Withered Golden Freddy releasing a bit early so we can get a little sneak peek at what that wave is going to be like. But yeah, I'm hopeful for what Funko is going to be making now, because it seems like what it seems like to me is that without these other lines, they've kind of been a lot more focused with their merch, and it seems like the license thing might have been a good thing for Funko's quality because they're not expected to output as much. Because I think what's going to happen is we're going to get a lot less Funko merch, but what we do get is going to be way better than what we're usually expecting. So I'm excited to see what that means, and I hope you guys enjoyed.